guys introduce yourselves?
Good morning, everyone. It is so good to be back home. I'm Dr. Constantine, and most of you know me by Vincentia, and I am so looking forward to doing the work that we're here to do.
Good morning, my name is Yasin Hall. I am from the sister island of St. Thomas and St. John, and we are also, St. Croix is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, see, it sounds like you have you ever done pageantry? Because you seem the way you had that pageantry swag.
Yes, I've been. I was a former 2005 Mrs. World Beauty.
See, I could just tell. I could just tell. You just
identify these things just like that.
Hey man, that comes with a lot of experience.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, so you guys are here today. Thanks for joining us here on the Big Fat Morning Show. We have an eclectic, large demographic of listeners throughout the region and globally. For those of you who's listening to us worldwide this morning, VIRadio.com, we'd like to send warm tropical greetings. Tell us why you guys are here, because we had an interesting conversation, and it's ironic that we're transitioning to what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Please share your thoughts.
I am here because I wrote a book about my mother. My book is named Journey Untold, My Mother's Struggle with Mental Illness. It's a book about my mother's struggle and with her undiagnosed prognosis of mental illness and how it affected the whole family on St. Thomas and St. John, and how it affected me as a child as well. And I also identify my struggles with mental illness. I have ADD, and I also have anxiety. I know you can't tell, right? Therapy works. Therapy works. It does. So when I came back in January for the book release, when I left, my heart felt so filled with emotions. I realized that the Virgin Islands need help. It's very much needed. So I came up with the campaign End the Stigma USVI, and I put a video out there of my cry for help from the community. And Dr. Constantine saw that video and asked how could she give back and how can she help us. And we have been like bosom buddies. So we've stretched it out, and we're here for we're supposed to only be on St. Croix for 2 days and 3 days and 2 nights. But we have added the extra night because we see the need here on St. Croix.
Okay, sounds good.
So Dr. Constantine, how did you, what's your role in this? Actually, obviously, doctor, but tell us basically how were you able to, work with, of course, in this endeavor.
Okay, well, in the state of Georgia where I live, I work with individuals with learning disabilities and mental illness. So I provide accommodations in the school system. I provide resources for these students as they too have the right to learn, and they too should be supported in the school environment. So when I saw her video, it absolutely blew my mind. And this is my home, this is where I'm from, so I had to be a part of this mission.
Okay, so you're a doctor, but you're a mental therapist, a psychologist?
No, I have a PhD in philosophy, and I'm an expert in special education and mental illness. My role is simply to support families in seeking resources in the school system. That's what I do.
Now, before you guys came in the studio, we had a lot of young people calling about, dads and young men growing up and the despair and all the, the anger that they're carrying around, all this baggage based on the home life, product from the parents or whatever. You're here, hopefully, what are you seeing here with young people? I know you've been gone for a while, but with your expertise, that type of profession that your expertise, I think that you play a major role. There's a lot of things happening. What has been your observation since you've been here that you see around the island? Because I know you know the island because you grew up here, but now you're back. What's the first thing? What are you actually seeing? What's your vibe?
Well, the fortunate and yet unfortunate thing is a lot has changed, but a whole lot remains the same. I was here in April, and I came to do some work in the schools, and I was so happy to see that there have been a movement in accommodating students as best as they could. Yet, there is such a disparity with schools here in the Virgin Islands and those on the mainland. So I am really fighting hard to close that gap. But to answer your questions in terms of the struggles of our adolescents, and this is why I'm here, once these situations are left unattended, left untreated, then we experience what we're experiencing, violence in our communities, mental illness running rampant in our communities, and everything else associated with that. We have to be mindful as a community that we are to support each other. I know I'm from this culture, there's this cultural belief that we do not air our dirty laundry to other people.
Absolutely.
We keep that in the household.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely unnecessary when we're dealing with situations like trauma and crisis, abuse, molestation, rape, abandonment, neglect. It festers in our young people, and then we wonder what's happening. This is exactly what's happening.
So I know today you have a full schedule. Today where you guys will be, to do your presentation, to aware the people of, why you're here and, the program that you're doing. Where you going to be at today?
Well, we were at Arthur Richards yesterday, and we were emotionally exhausted by what we saw at Arthur Richards, and we all knew the demographics there. I'm a graduate of Arthur Richards.
Same here.
Yes. And today, as soon as we leave here, by the way, we'll be jetting out of here, and we're going to Quest, the Teachers Federation annual training.
Right.
And I will be presenting there in an effort to help train the teachers
Excellent.
in identifying the signs and symptoms relating to mental illness.
Right.
After that, we do have some senatorial type meetings, trying to make our rounds
Okay, that's
around
good,
the
that's good.
island.
Let me ask you this question. Is Ritalin still in style? I mean, they still prescribe Ritalin? We had a conversation about that a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
No, we have since realized that there are such adverse reactions to Ritalin. It simply suppresses the personality. While you may want to control an unwanted behavior, you still need the children whole. You still need the adolescent whole. And once the suppression happens, they become almost like, a zombie, for lack of a better term. You don't identify, you're not able to find that child anymore.
Right.
So we've since, trying to stay away from prescription. We're now into interventions and strategies. And if we've exhausted every other means, then we may consider medication. And it's not a one individual, it's a collective effort. What have we done? What haven't we tried to help that child before medication?
It's interesting because, we have a lot of families, mothers in particular, because many of us kids grow up in a one-parent household.
Yeah.
However, because you talk about the intervention aspect, a lot of mothers, a lot of parents are not informed because they don't get information. So they don't know, what's the next step. They call the parent to school, the guidance counselor is there and the social worker is there, and they're saying your child has this situation, and then the parent is like, I know my child, that's not my child.
Yeah.
My child is not that kind of person. The parents now the system now takes control of that child because the parents don't know how to relate to it. So what happens then? What do you tell a mother who's listening now and has to deal with that? What kind of coaching, or what would you tell that parent to have to get control of their child?
That is such such an imperative question. Yes, and parents, you do have rights. You have rights, especially those of you who may have children on what we call an IEP, which is an individualized learning plan generated by the federal government. You have rights. You can determine what your child is. We don't know your child as well as you do. You should be an integral part of these discussions. And as such, in the States, we have advocacy services for parents. We train parents on how to fight for their rights and how to fight for their children in the public school setting. I'm not quite sure what we have here. I'm just coming back into the community. So I'm hoping someone can call in and answer that question for us. I would love to know what resources are out here for parents who are not as informed when it comes to fighting for services for their students in the school system.
Well, okay. Okay, so did you guys hear that question? If you're a parent and you were listening to us and you have a situation like that at home with your child, 773 FM, and share your experience, or if you have any questions for Dr. Constantine, you can call us at 773 FM. That's interesting, though. I'm glad that this is powerful information.
How everything just segue into it, and Glenn, the truth is, a lot of parents are in denial too. And they don't want to realize that, the child have a problem. And when they do that, Glenn, they just dig themselves deeper in a hole. Then, like how you say, you get into medication, which you don't know about. Then when you try to wean them off the medication, that's a next process, Glenn. So, it's tough. It's really tough, man.
Good morning, Big Fat Morning Show. Hello, good morning.
Try to help them. Don't set them crazy. Help them.
Okay, so what's your perspective? Okay,
We hang up, but
Okay, you said
nobody crazy, I mean, some people have challenges, but you just don't say crazy.
well, so this obviously the caller is not informed. But anyway, 773 FM. If you want to share your perspective.
You made such a good point. Some parents are in denial, not because they don't want the best for their children. They simply do not know how. Once you don't know how, what do you do? Once you're left unsupported, what do you do? Where can they go? They know something is wrong. They do. They just don't know what is wrong. And I did hear the caller, and you did say the caller was indeed misinformed. And we've moved away from mental retardation. They're learning challenge. So I would like for the community to move away from the term crazy.
Right.
It's called mental illness.
On 95, hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you? I am calling actually on behalf of a coworker who has trusted in me to tell me some of her issues that she's having actually with her child here on St. Croix. She has a child that has autism. I don't know how this is going to relate exactly to the conversation that we're having with mental illness. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about autism. But I know enough, I know that she's been having such a hard time with the public school systems here in the Virgin Islands as far as getting help, for her autistic child. So I'm just calling, to get informed maybe so I can relay this information back to her. I heard you mention, Doctor, that there's an advocacy program in the States, and I just wanted to know if there's an advocacy program here for parents who want to know more about kids with autism.
And to answer your question, caller, autism does fall under the classification of special education, so it's one and the same. We serve all these students in the schools. So that is such a pivotal question. Is there an advocacy group on the island for these parents?
Yeah, this is the struggle that she's been having for the past several months. You see, she's originally from St. Croix, however, she moved away to the States and then came back. So when she came back here with her young child, she realized, there's a problem with her kid. So she's been seeking help, and there have been so many closed doors. I'm not a parent, but I can just sympathize with what she's going through as far as getting help for her child with this, with autism. And I'm pretty sure there are other parents that are going through the same thing. And I agree with you that we have this underlining, I don't know if you want to call it where you are not supposed to air your dirty laundry here in this community. I know I grew up with my parents telling me the same thing. Don't you dare tell anyone what's going on in this household because that's nobody's business. But when you have a legitimate concern, a legitimate problem in a household with mental illness, I think that's everyone's problem.
Yeah. And people, they're really afraid to seek help. It's like, some stigma is like, oh, you're seeking help, that's a bad thing, what I mean? You need help, you seek help.
Oh, okay. I would like also for if anyone who's listening to please call in, anyone from the educational system, to call in and see, where this young mom can, try to seek help as far as autism is concerned and any other issues. I would really love for someone to just call in because she's having such a hard time, and I know other parents are having it too. So I appreciate you being on the air, and thank you for your time.
And you are so very welcome. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Now, after you leave, obviously, there's a deficiency in the type of care that you provide. If anybody, I mean, you live obviously in Atlanta, but anyone would like to get in touch with you just for consultation or whatever, do you provide that, and how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, that is a good question, and this is what I do. I do work in St. Kitts and throughout the Caribbean and providing that special ed component and that mental illness component in schools. I can be reached at 678-613-1242. I won't dare give you my email address. My first name is way too complicated.
Well, we'll keep your number here too, as well.
Yes.
Anybody call in,
Perfect.
can definitely. So you get the number and
Definitely,
with the
definitely.
And before we wrap up, you guys have any closing words today before you leave?
Yes, the caller that called in and talked about the shame that's associated with the family members, that's exactly what my book is about. What the shame that was placed on my family and myself because of my mother's mental illness. My mother was a paranoid schizophrenia, and she walked the streets on the Virgin in St. Thomas in front of the legislature. And my family is very prominent. So for me speaking out about mental illness and the shame, I did get hit very hard. But now I'm speaking out, encouraging others to come out. It is okay. There's hope, and there is recovery from mental illness. I am living proof.
So anybody want to go your book? How they can get it? If anybody want to get access to your book?
They can get the book at what's it called? Undercover Books.
Undercover Books
Right
here
on
in
the corner.
Gallows Bay.
Yes, they have. Yes.
And throughout the territory.
And you can also order the book online, journeyuntold.com. For the entire month of October, I'm offering the book for free for the students to download. And if they enter the essay contest, they can win $250 from me.
Really?
So, yes, the book is only 78 pages. It is very short, content related, to the point, inspiring, uplifting, understanding. It's a very good book. I'm not just saying it because I'm the writer.
It is.
It is a very good book.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So, well, thank you guys, Dr. Constantine. And once again, they can get your book at online.
Yes, journeyuntold.com.
Sure. Okay. Anything else you guys would like to say?
Well, Glenn, first of all, I want to thank you guys for, being Virgin Islanders, going away and coming back to give and educating the people on what's going on and trying to find solutions. So we really want to thank you for sharing that experience with us this morning.
Yes, thank you.
You are so welcome, fellow classmates.
Yes,
Oh, you guys
Big
went to
up
school
class
together?
94.
At CHS, Central High School?
CHS, that's right.
Not complex, CHS.
CHS. We always jump those later, sorry.
All right, man, it's 9 o'clock coming up, 9:30. We're going to be talking to Commissioner of Tourism, USVI, a big event coming up. We're going to be talking to Commissioner Doty coming in this morning at 9:30 here in the Big Fat Morning Show as we keep it moving on this Friday.